Hi Magnus, I'm going to give you some feedback here on your first written exercise in English. As you have probably seen, I have already revised your text using track changes. So you'll see all of my corrections, anything that's been added or commented on is in these bubbles in the margin. It may look as if there is a lot, but it looks overwhelming. It looks more daunting than it is, I think. What I'm doing for this video is giving you my general commentary on the whole of the text. And I'm going to begin with the global level of the text. That's to say the organization and structure. And then I'll go into the local level. That's to do with kind of the nuts and bolts of your writing, the sentences, the grammatical structures, vocab, etc. It's going to be pretty brief. There's not a lot to say that hasn't already been addressed in the revised version of the text. And then a little bit about what you can do for future reference. So the first thing that I'd like to say is that it's a good text. There's a lot that's working here and a lot that you can build upon. So that's a good start. So the organization and the structure is good, and you communicate very clearly. Your writing is easy to understand. There's a good fluency, and there is not a lot of things that confuses the reader. I'm hedging my statement there a little bit because there are some places where your writing isn't completely kind of bang on or completely precise, I guess you can say. But in general, you communicate clearly, you get your point across. You also manage to make some good transitions in the text. That means that for the reader, the text appears very coherent. There's a logical progression. So you take the reader through your thinking in a very logical and straightforward way, which is not the easiest thing to do. There's one thing though that I'd like you to consider, or rather to reconsider. This to me reads more like an academic essay than it does an article. If you go back and look at the task description, you'll see that I asked you to do an article for British Army Review. This means that you have a readership that's different from the readership for the academic essay. The readership for a publication like British Army Review is more diverse than for an academic essay. When you read an academic essay, you have already made up your mind that you find this of interest, even might be professional academic interest in the given topic. Whereas in British Army Review, you kind of have to make it apparent to the reader. Why is this relevant for you? Why am I, a junior officer, interested in Ludwig? What is it that I want the reader to consider about Ludwig? Is it a case of persuasion? Is it a case of coming around to seeing things from your perspective? What is it that you want and what's going to happen in this text? That has to be clearer in an article than in the academic essay can assume the reader's interest, I guess you can say. So keep that in mind when you read through the text one more time, which I advise that you do. Try and challenge yourself a little bit here, because tailoring your communication to the readership and having the reader in mind and having a reader perspective when you read through your text in the editing phase is really important. We're always going to ask you to tailor your communication, be it with orders, be it with academic texts, or kind of quote-unquote academic texts, or be it in terms of writing a report or assessment reports of other people, those types of things. We'll always have a reader that you need to consider, need to tailor your language to. So keep that in mind for next time, that you know who you're writing to and why, and what do you want with that audience. What do you want to achieve with that audience? So that's the global level, and again, just want to go back and reiterate, there's a lot that is working here. In terms of the language, as I said earlier, there are a couple of places where you are a bit vague. where it's not quite clear what you're saying. There are some what we call issues with lexis. Lexis is the choice of words. So sometimes you choose words that don't really cover the meaning I think you're trying to get at. That requires you to look things up or use the synonym function in Word, for instance, just to check if you're actually saying what you think you're saying. But outside of that, you have a good command of grammatical structures and you have sufficient and actually above average vocabulary here. So again, a lot of things are working, but challenge yourself to get kind of the last 20% right as well. And spend some time reading your text once you think you're done with it, with the reader in mind, and also making sure that you are in fact saying what you want to be saying in terms of your choice of words. Yeah, that's all I have to say for now. If you would like a grade, come and see me in class. I don't give the grade as a default, but I know that a lot of people find it useful to be graded. So if you're someone who thinks that's a relevant thing, come and see me. Either way, we are back in class in end of September, I think. So I'll see you then.